Okay, let's talk about the Agile. So you guys understand Sdlc now. So in the Agile process, right? Again, Sdlc is what planning phase, requirement phase, design phase, what other implementation, test, all these different phases, right? Okay, and generally Sdlc, when we talk about waterfall methodology, right? So Sdlc is a software development lifecycle. It doesn't change whether you use Agile or waterfall. But let me talk about what the roles are in the waterfall methodology. So the project manager is a role in the waterfall methodology. Okay, project manager does not exist in the Agile. Let me not confuse you, but there are different roles, right? You guys understand who is a business analyst, who is a quality assurance, who is a developer, who is a tester or quality assurance person, and so forth. In the Agile world, everybody is kind of like a call part of the team. Okay, so there is no separate role called developer or business analyst or anything. But still, somebody has to do some business analyst work, right? In the Agile world, and generally, you can have a product owner who does the business analyst type of work, or you might have one of the team member who is kind of like a business analyst, works with the product owner closely. All they do is collect the requirements from the stakeholders, teams, customers, whoever you call it here. They all get requirements and then create and document the requirement as part of the user stories. So there is a terminology called user story. Okay, so all the requirements, these are nothing but requirements. So in the Agile world, it is called user story. So think about you had a lender management, right? We have requirement 1.2 or 1.3, 1.5, so forth. Each requirement you can document as a one user story, separate story in the Agile world. Okay, and I'll show you in the tool so that it will make more sense to you. How do we document the requirement in the tool, which is called user story? Okay, so just understand for now the terminology called user story, which are nothing but requirements. Okay, so product owner plus BA, you can call it, and they will collect the requirement from the business and document in the tool. Now, all the user stories, they are documenting in the tool or in the Scrum world, they are called product backlog. Product backlog is nothing but a list of all the requirements that you have, all the stories. That's all. So there is a terminology called product backlog, which is nothing but collection of user stories. Okay. So it's kind of like you have a waterfall document, right? Big giant document. You break it down, each requirement, and put it in the tool, and they become product backlog. Think of requirement 1.1, 1.2, all those things you document as part of the product backlog in the Agile. Okay, the Agile. Now, once you have, so this process can happen like as developers are building it, scrums are happening. This is in parallel happens. Okay, this process is happening in parallel. What I mean by that is, this is an ongoing process from here to here. Okay, requirement collection. Okay. All right. Now, what happens then in the how do they go about writing the software? What do they do, right, in the Agile? So, ignoring the parallel process of requirement collection, let's forget about it. User stories they are collecting in parallel. in the Agile world, the sprints or the duration is typically 2 to 3 weeks. Okay, so what it means by that? So this is our Sdlc. Let's say it's Sdlc. Okay, so you have planning all these different phases here. So in 2 to 3 weeks, this whole process needs to complete. From planning to release to the production. All the Sdlc phases needs to complete in 2 to 3 weeks. And generally, this whole cycle, smaller cycle, right? We are breaking down the bigger piece of functionality into smaller cycle and deliver something at the end of this. At the end of the sprint, we will release something in production every 2 or 3 weeks. Okay. So this 2 to 3 weeks time frame is called sprint. Okay, so it is a sprint, and let's break down the sprint a little bit further so that it will explain a little bit more. So what is the date today? It's September 26, right? September 26 to 2 weeks. We are talking about 2 weeks. So whatever. October 10th, let's just put something, right? Then, so this could be our sprint 1, okay? From October 11, and you add another 2 weeks, so October 25th. This is sprint number 2, okay? Now in the October 10th, we can build the user story. We can build the login feature. Login functionality. Okay, so from September 26 to October 10, sprint 1, we will deliver login functionality. So login homepage and all those things. From October 11 to 25, we can say, okay, we will build homepages. Homepage plus navigation. So from login, you can go to the different users' homepage and access their navigation and all those things. That way, you can have another sprint number 3 from October 26 onwards. You are building the actual loan calculator functionality. So that way, you are delivering. So at the end of October 10, this one will go in production. Login functionality. October 25th, home pages plus this plus whatever functionality you picked out, it will go into production. People will start using it when we say production. Okay. So that's the purpose of sprint. Break down the functionality in smaller chunks and you deliver to the customer so that they can start using it. That's the whole point why we do Agile. Okay, because the customer will get the functionality quicker.
Actually, I have a doubt in this one.
Yeah.
We are designing the Archon system. It's a
Yeah.
totally new system. So once in the first sprint, once they complete the login page, and if they're going to deploy in the production environment, so there is no other functionality on the system, then how user they're going to use the system?
So the goal is to put something out in production. Now user may or may not start using it. It's up to the user. But our goal is to deliver the functionality, that particular functionality that we agreed upon to the business user. Now understand the user may not use that functionality until maybe sprint 3rd or 4th, where they have more actual loan calculation functionality and so forth.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm giving example here, but again, you want to use some usable functionality for the user, deliver the usable functionality. So along with the login, you might have some minimal functionality called maybe loan calculator. So actually business can start using it. Okay. Hopefully that clarifies info.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So goal is within 2 to 3 weeks, we have to deliver something to the business. That's the goal. That's what we are following. Now imagine we have product backlog, right? All the stories are being kept here in the product backlog. So how do we know what stories we are pulling in and what is that we are working on next 2 to 3 weeks, right? So every sprint, what happens is September 26, right? We are starting the sprint on that or whatever Monday is. So we generally conduct the sprint planning meeting. Okay, that's the whole team comes together and they spend maybe 3 to 4 hours on Monday morning. And they will say, okay, we can deliver login functionality and these are the stories that part of the login functionality. So we're gonna pull all the stories in, or we'll pull all the stories, meaning those are the stories we will target to deliver the functionality at the end of 2 weeks sprint. Okay. So the sprint planning meetings, team selects, you can read the definition as well. Team selects starting at top as much as it can commit and deliver by end of the sprint. That's the goal of the sprint planning. Okay. And let's say you picked out 4 stories related to the login. Okay, super user login, dealer login, and whatever homepage. So they will be, once you pull that in the sprint to deliver functionality, it's called sprint backlog. Okay, it's called sprint backlog. Okay, so the backlog is nothing but okay, what stories we are working as a team in for that sprint. That's all it is. So this happens on Monday morning. You identify the sprint backlog or user stories that the whole team is working on. Then they will also identify the task for every story. So it's a 4-hour long meeting, right? And you have 4 stories. So generally what we do in the real life, we work through one story at a time. We say, okay, what is that needs to happen in order to deliver the story? So it's more like a design session plus high level QAs will provide input for their test cases and so forth as well. Come up with the high level acceptance criteria and all those activities that happens here. Okay. And then they will start clearing the task, who is doing what, and if there are 2 developers, what tasks they will get, everything happens right there. Okay, so task breakup. Now, once that's done, developers will start coding on the end of the day, Monday afternoon or Tuesday morning, they will start coding. QAs will start creating their test cases. Okay, that's what it will happen. And while they're coding, you're gonna do your parallel activity, test cases, creation and planning, test plan and all those things. Now, when we are talking about tools here, right? So I'll show you in the tool what these things are and where you go and create those things, and we'll focus on that in the tool. But ultimately, so from September 27th, right? Let's say October 7th, they are done coding. So they will give you the software. It's Sdlc process, right? They will give you the software. You will test it for a day. You will create a defect. If something is wrong, they will fix it right there, and they will give you the second software, updated version. Okay, so that happens here. This is a cycle basically. Okay, and finally, at the end, the software has probably almost 0 defects. Or if you have a defect, you can carry over to the next sprint. They can fix it if the time is running out or something like that. But the goal is to deliver the quality product. So you finish the work over next 2 weeks, okay, and then deliver to the user. So this is finished work here, finished work, and finally you will review that software with the business. So on a Friday, October 10th, assume it's a Friday, you will sit down with the business and show them this is what you have built. And business will say, yep, looks good. And then you release to the production, basically. They might do some UAT as well. So you might do that activity on Thursday. It gives them some time to do the UAT and so forth. Again, it varies depending on what they want to do with the software. So that activity is called sprint review. You're sitting down with the customer, showing them what you have built and so forth, get their feedback, and then move on. So that's the sprint review process. Okay, that's a review. Now we are talking about one more thing earlier, right? What happens if I identify the bug in the software? How do I assign it as a QA, or how does it work? So generally, there is a concept called daily Scrum meeting in the Agile world. So every 9 a.m., I mean, generally in the morning sometime, whole team will meet and see what tasks are there and who is doing what. Are there any roadblocks or anything like that? Or what is the progress? And if the QA identifies the bugs and add it in the task list, then developer here, if someone is free, they will say, oh, I'll pick it up and let me fix that. Okay. So that's a part of the daily Scrum meeting, which is nothing but 15 minutes meeting, no more than 15 minutes. Okay. That's what they do in the morning, first thing in the morning. And every 24 hours, means every day, and as part throughout the life of the sprint, that happens. And let me show you one more thing. What is a task board generally looks like? So we have a backlog, right? Backlog item stories. Stories are nothing but backlog, right? But this is a sprint backlog. So we are talking about sprint backlog. The stories were pulled in. And then waiting for analysis here, who is working on development items, who is doing the testing. So it shows you the board, the progress. It shows nothing but the progress. What is happening with that particular story? And people will move it from stage to stage once they are done. Okay. And finally, if they are done, they will just put it in this column. So they will drag and drop in the tool. That's how it works. So you drag it and drop it to the whatever phase it's supposed to go in. The idea is it's a self-managing team delivering the product work over 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And that's the idea. This is kind of like example of the board. Okay, in the tool it may look different, this type of board, but I'll show you that what it is. Okay. Any question on the? Did you get a general idea about the Agile process? How it's different than the waterfall? A little bit. Okay, that was the goal here. Is everybody good? All right. Let's move on then. So that's the theoretical part. I want to get it out. Hopefully you guys got the basic background, what it is and how it works. Now, terminology wise, in the Agile Scrum, when we start talking about the software, so as I said, we will have a Scrum Board or storyboard, which shows what are the stories that we are working on particular sprint. It's more like a sprint backlog type of thing, but it shows in some type of board format. So we have sprint backlog. You guys understand the sprint? What is sprint? 2 weeks or 3 weeks, right? That's a sprint or development life cycle. User story. Everybody clear? Hopefully, what is user story is nothing but the requirement. Okay. Test case is test case, where you document all the steps, expected outcome, and the actual when you're ready to execute. And the task is nothing but what is a database things that change I have to make? What is a coding task I have to do? So you will generally will not have a task. You will have developers will have a task over there. Okay. So what it takes to build this functionality, that's what it is. Okay. All right.
Harshal, can you clear again what's the difference between backlog and user story?
Yeah, this is more of a sprint backlog. So the stories, right? As I said in the sprint planning meeting, let's come back here. So in the sprint planning meeting here, the team is looking at the functionality they can deliver over next 2 weeks, sprint. So they will pull the stories or the functional requirements from the product backlog, and so that they can start working in the sprint. So all the stories they pull in, that's called sprint backlog. That's the one they are focusing on delivering over next 2 weeks. Okay. Product backlog is a running list of all the stories. So they might have 500 stories they identified in the product backlog, but in the sprint, within 2 weeks, they can deliver only 4 stories or build functionality on 4. So that's become the sprint backlog. And user story is nothing but the requirement.
Okay, so you mean all in these individual requirements, they are user stories, and
Yep.
when they collect together some set of user stories to complete one functionality, that set of user stories is a product backlog.
Not the product backlog. Product backlog is, think of it like you have our document, right? Outflow. So
Yeah.
all the stories for lender management, user management, security, everything, that is a running list of all the stories. That is part of the product, that can be part of the product backlog. So requirement 1.1 to 1.1000, all those can be product backlog. But remember, sprint is 2 weeks, right? You can't deliver those 1,000 stories or functionality in 2 weeks. So what you do is you look at all the stories and say, I can pick only 5. We can deliver 5 this sprint. So you pull that in for the next 2 weeks to work on, and that is called sprint backlog. And stories are nothing but individual requirements, right? Does it make sense, Dimple?
Yeah, now it's clear.
Okay. All right. Any other question? Okay. All right. So now you have some basic idea about Agile stuff. What I like you guys to do is let's take like a 5-minute break. I'd like you guys to turn on your computer, basically, and go to this URL here and just stop it over there. This is the URL that I like you guys to end up on. So take a 5-minute break. If you can go to this URL and stop there, and we'll start working on the actual tool and the form. By the way, everybody has an Outlook account, right? If not, go ahead and create one. Make sure you have one for Outlook. Okay, is everybody good? Online, everybody's back? Okay. All right, let's move on. Okay, so now we are talking about tool. So let me just talk about tool a little bit here. Okay. So I think I already talked about a little bit earlier, but why we need these tools, right? Why we need this ALM type of tool, or software development lifecycle, or application management lifecycle tools. As I said, I mean, remember, we have so many phases here, from planning to requirement to design, implementation. And if we have so many people are distributed all over the different states or countries, then it's very difficult to manage the whole overall process. So that's the reason documents, that the requirements are documented as part of the stories with the tool. And you can review from QA, can review from India, developers can review from some other countries, they can provide feedback right there in the tool. Same thing, design also you can document in the tool. Implementation, coding is again, code is also stored in the tool, like Azure Devops. It allows to use to store the code repositories in the tool. It is part of the source control, software source control, source code control as well. That feature is available generally in all kind of tools. You can also do bug tracking as well within the tool. So that really helps, I mean, speed up the process for software development, specifically in the Agile world, these tools are used. Okay. All right, so let's see what the tool is and what we can do with it. All right, so tool, this particular one is free, Azure Devops. Jira is also free for up to a certain number of users. Azure is also free for up to a certain number of users. Okay. So what you need to do first is you can click on start free, right? When you go to the link I sent you. Now I want you guys to pay attention here, and I'll let you guys create the account in next 5 minutes. Okay, just pay attention here, and then you will be able to. I'll give you time to actually work through it. Okay, so you click on start free. Okay, so it will pop up this type of dialog box. Okay, here I already have a bunch of accounts, so I'm going to use another account that I created in Outlook, and it is Sdlc QA September 2021 at outlook.com. Okay, and then it will ask me obviously for password. Okay, stay signed in. If you want to sign in, I'm going to say no. Okay, so you're going to end up on this screen. Okay, so here it says get started with Azure DevOps, right? The project name. Now everybody has different account, so your project's going to be different. Okay, when everybody's workspace. But here, whatever project you are working on, you can put some meaningful name. So I'm going to put Arflon because that's the project we are working on, right? Arflon application or system. So I'm going to give a name Arflon and project visibility. So do you want to make this project private? Only you can access, or you can make it public so anybody else can access or view your content. So imagine you are working in teams, 2 people are working, and you want, if you make it public, other person can see what you are doing if you provide them a link. So I would suggest you go and make it as a public. Okay. The only thing would be if the project has the same name, other people, you might get into conflict. So it might ask you to change the name of the project, and you can put your name, whatever your name is. Just put it here. I can put Arflo and Harsha. It doesn't matter because we are working here silos. And if you, but this one will help you share your project work to other team members easily. There is another way around it as well, but go with this approach. Airflow dash whatever the name of your name, just put that name, make it public, okay, and then whatever you have to do, YJGXLPKL, and click continue. So it will create the Azure DevOps organization and so forth. Now in the real life, you will not be doing this yourself. Somebody, some administrator will already create a project for you and give you access. But here, you have to do this because you don't have project yet. Is everybody good? Let's go through the step here. I want you to be on the screen. Okay. So make sure you follow and log into the Azure DevOps, create your project. Okay.
Can you give the link to our chat box for us,
yes.
please?
Yes.
Thanks.
Yep. Okay, check. Where is the chat? Okay, I just pasted a link. So you can just Google it, Azure DevOps portal login, and it will show up as well.
What is the name?
What do you mean name?
Name your Azure DevOps organization.
Just leave it default, whatever it is, but project, right? You created a project, put the project name. Just ask you to create this. Just put your name there. Who cares? Yep. It's already taken. So just put something.
QA class.
Yeah, QA class something. Yeah, just make up something. It's not very important anyway.
Harsh's project name is Afron and.
Yeah, put your dash, your name.
Okay.
Follow that approach. And you can change the name afterwards, project name, if you need. So for you guys will be on this screen, end up on this screen here. Yeah. What's the question?
I can see what I need to type in here.
Just,
New words.
yeah, that's, just do new. Just do new. Click on new.
New.
Yeah, it's there.
Oh, new, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
There you go. Did you create the account? Doesn't look like, oh, password, what was your password? You created an account, right?
Yeah, try to come up with
Yeah, if you forget, yeah, that's the tough part. There's nothing I can do. All right, hopefully everybody's here, right, on the screen.
Yep.
Minute here, one more minute, and we'll work through other ones. Make sure you put the special characters that's shown, okay? That's what it was complaining. You don't have password? Yeah, I would suggest go and create a brand new account for the class. I mean, I would strongly recommend that. Make sure you write down your password before you do anything. What? Did you log in?
Yes, I did.
Do you have Chrome? Just go into Chrome and try to log in again. Yeah, I got it up. What software you using? How about you use the SQA? What is it? H? Yeah, close out the browser window, go back in. You might have to log in again.
In Chrome and the area that you just logged in.
Looks like there's somebody slow. Do you want me to use another one? Yeah. What is it? Yeah. Got it? Okay. Okay. Go and create a new account, because otherwise it will be difficult for you if you don't remember the password. So let me move on, and I'll let you guys work through other issues afterwards. Okay. So let's pay attention here. Okay. So I think I did forget one thing. So what we're gonna do is click on this Azure Devops, right? So that's where I am on the. It will take me back to the main dashboard for my organization. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new project. Okay. And here again, I'm going to put in our Flown, Herschel, and I'll name it as 2, something like that. Make sure you select public again and click on advanced option at this point. Okay. And advanced option, you need to select the Scrum, because we are following the Scrum methodology, Agile Scrum. So Scrum from the advanced, make sure you pay attention. Okay, I'm not going to repeat this. So Herschel 2, again, I'm going to show again. All right. So I was on the dashboard here. Okay, I was here. Going to click on Azure DevOps. It will take me to this screen where I can create a new project. So I'm going to click on new project. Flown Herschel 2. I'm going to click on it. Write the name that way. Click on public. And then click on advanced. Okay. And from advanced, I need to select the work item process. Select Scrum as work item process. So what it will do is it will set up your project to follow the Scrum methodology. Okay. There is a basic CMMI, Agile. There are different methodologies. We will select Scrum here. And at this point, I'll go and create, click on create. That's all. And we will use that project. So what it will do is it will allow us to create the user stories and so forth, so that we can follow the Scrum methodology. Now I am on this screen, which is good. And so forth. So let me know if you go and follow that, and you guys, hopefully you guys are on that screen here. I'll give you guys a minute, okay? Because we probably need to move on so that you can keep working through other things.
Is the GIT for the version control?
Yeah,
Okay.
don't change that one. It doesn't matter. Just the project, call it a Scrum. Online, hopefully everybody is there with the Scrum project.
Yes. Yes.
All right, sounds good. Okay. In the class, you guys, you are there? You are there? All right, Dilip, can you help him for the account? He needs another account, I think, or something.
For which one? Outlook?
No, just Outlook account. Probably he will need it. He forgot the password, so.
You forgot the Microsoft account ID, right? So you create a new Microsoft.
Yeah, just create a new one.
account.
Okay, go through that process.
Click and get it.
Yeah. Dilip, let me move on from here, just sake of time. So I'm gonna move on from here while you work with him on that. Okay, all right. Okay, so we are on this board here, right? It's right now, nothing is there. This is kind of like a home page for us, okay? From this, from there are various things on the left side. Okay, these are the important part here. Why don't you tag along with somebody, Dilip? Let him tag along with somebody here, so that they can work through and so forth. Or is he there almost?
No, I think it will take time. Or did you watch it for now?
Yeah, just pay attention here. I'm gonna record it.
We'll create it afterwards.
If you want to sit down with somebody, feel free to do so, okay? Because I want you to at least get familiar with certain parts. Unfortunately, these are technology things. Make sure you catch up on here. Okay, so first thing what we'll do is, so this is the important part for us, okay? So here again, now stop working on computer, pay attention here, and I'll let you guys work through, okay? So that you will get a chance to work through. So the board is our main work, kind of like a Sdlc type of process management part. So that's where you will see, when I hover over board, I'm going to see work items, boards, backlogs, sprints, queries, delivery plans. Queries and delivery plans, ignore it. We will not touch base on that. But the boards, backlogs, and sprints. So boards within boards. So I'm going to go there, click on the boards. Okay. Then I'll be on the board. So let's see what it does for us. So at this point, it will pop up this type of box. I'm going to ignore. But this is where I am. So now you can see the Scrum Board. This is called the Scrum Board, where you're gonna see all the stories on the left side here, stories here on this section, any new stories. And as you pull in, you can move it to the different status. So let me go and create a brand new story since our board is empty right now. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on new item and say product backlog item. Okay. And I'm just simply going to type whatever story, site. Let's see what story we have. So we don't have to make up anything. Give me a second. Let me find upload documents. And what I'm going to do is requirement specification. Okay. All right. In here, now remember what stories are. So stories are nothing but the requirements that you have. So what I'm going to do is, let's see. Oh, okay. Manage lender, I'm going to copy this requirement, 2.1, and I'm just going to simply paste it here in the tool. For me, I can do that because I have access to the requirement document. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste it right there. Save and close. Let me go and create a second one so that you understand what I'm trying to do here. Lender name is required. Okay. New item, product backlog, lender name is required. Okay. As soon as I click somewhere else, it will automatically save that and create the story for us. Now let me click on lender name is required story. It will bring up a little bit more detailed dialog box. Okay. So remember who creates the stories?
The
Product owner and the business analyst, right? Working together collaboratively. You are not creating the story in the real life. Okay. You guys will not create the story. It's the business analyst or product owner. They will create it. So they will put more details around it depending on the story complexity. Like here, lender name is required. That's the only part. And if there are more details or diagrams, they can stick it in, right? Copy paste here in the story. So what I mean by that is, let's say I have this, if they created any Visio diagram or flow charts or anything else, what I can do is, just for example, okay? I have this diagram, assume it's a diagram. I can simply paste it here. and it will paste the diagram within the description here. Okay, so these are very powerful. They can put as much information as they need to support the user story, because it's a functionality, right? They might need more information. Ultimately, they'll say click and save and close. Okay, so I'm going to save and close. But let me go and clear one more story here. Let me create a login to secure access to Airflow functionality. Let me just say this is the story for us. So this is another story I just created. So we need to provide ability for users to access Cyclone functionality secure, something like that, right? Secure access to Airflow functionality. Now, how do we do our stuff here, right? So this is a story. So if a story is ready for developers to work through it, then I can just move it here, kind of like that, and developer can start working through the stories for development and so forth. Again, these are drag and drop type of things. I can drag and drop. If a story is done, all the tasks are complete, I can just mark it as done and it's gone. Okay, but these are left side is the one that those are new stories. So we work through it. So let's say in the sprint backlog, a sprint planning meeting, we pull these 3 stories in. Okay, that we have. So now in the stories, developers will add the task, what it takes to implement this functionality in the software. So how do I add a task, right? So let me show you one quickly. So how does a developer add a task? You see these 3 dots. It pops up another menu. So I can say add a task. And here I can say add logic in code to require lender name during save. Now this is developer is doing. Okay, this one is the developer has to add a logic in the code to make sure the field is required when they save the lender information. Okay, so they can add one task, they can add as many tasks as they need. You guys are not there yet, right? You guys are not doing this work. Developers are doing it. If there is a database task goes along with that, add a new field called lender name in lender table. This is again technical task, database task. You guys are not touching it. Okay, but again, as you see, it is part of the story. So now if I open the story, I can see related work. What is that work that needs to be completed here in the as a task here, listed here on the right side. Okay. Now, what is that you do from QA standpoint? Right? That's what we are interested in from quality assurance. So I'm going to pick this story here. And again, I'm going to click on 3 dots. And here you will see add test. Okay, add test right there. Here I can click on it. And let's say, if you are a QA and if you are testing this functionality, what are the different test cases that you can write here? You still have to have a test tree, right? Scenario. What are the scenarios here? Can you guys think of it? Let me change the title a little bit. For various users. Okay, so now we have a bunch of users, which can be site admin or anybody else. So for every user, you need to test it, right? Can I log in? Can I access securely? So my scenario here could be, I'm just going to open up scenarios, right? Site admin can access their site admin can log in to Airflow securely. This could be my one. The second scenario would be Airflow user can log in to Airflow securely, basically. and so forth, right? So you might have separate test cases for every user. If there are 5 users, I will have 5 test cases. Okay. So how do I create the test cases here? Again, I come here, say add test. And what I'll do is, let me just copy this, paste it here. So this is my first test case. Okay. Scenario libs, right? This is my first one. This is my second one. So now I have 2 test cases created for that. Same thing, if I have, okay, so I just copied by mistake. So how do I correct it, right? So I can go back and click on the link. It will open it up, the detail. And here I can correct it. Instead of RFrame, I can say dealer user can log into site security. Okay. So now I have 3 test cases. Now this is just a high level title scenarios. Think through as a scenario, right? This is my title from the test case. But where are the details? How can I write the details and so forth? So let me open my actual test case here. See if I have a detailed one. Oops. Let's see where we stored that. September. Yeah, give me a second. The reason we ask you to create the test case in the Word or Excel so that you can copy paste it. All right, not here. You gotta be somewhere. All right. Super user. So this is the test case we are talking about here. This is what you guys been writing, right? All along, test data and everything else. So where does this detail go? Because we need to capture this in the tool, all these things, all the steps. So for that, I can open the site admin one, right? Click on link, and you will be over here. Now you see the steps here module. This is where you can write all your steps with the expected result and so forth. Okay. So how do I add the step? You can click on this. So get familiar with it when you get a chance. Okay. So, but here, this is to add a step. This is to add a set step. We'll talk about set step a little bit later. But first one is to create the step, or you can simply type in here. So what I'm going to do is, if I have a test case ready, I'm just going to copy and paste this here. And it does some weird things, but I'm going to need to format it a little bit. And that's my first step right there. And I need to have an expected result at the same time. Okay, so this is expected result column. Again, it's a tool. So get familiar with the tool when you get a chance. So my go to workflow homepage and this one. Now, how do I know what homepage and so forth, right? Where do we go? So let's come back here. Let me finish this one first, and then I'll talk about that. Second step. So this is first one. I need to click on second step and paste it. So this is my second step. And this is the verification or expected result is logged into the system properly. Okay. So those are simple ones. I'm talking about simple test case here. Now we have test data. Where do we put test data? In the tool, right? So in the tool, they don't have a separate section called test data. Okay, so you don't have a separate section to put the test data in. So what you can do is within the step itself, you can put your test data here, right there. Basically. So application URL, you can just put right there within the test step. Same thing, user ID password, right? Here in the second step, I can put that in, username and password. Again, when you're copy pasting, right? Make sure you do formatting properly and so forth. So that it looks a little bit better. Okay. So you can leave the test data right there, or there is a second way is you copy the test data and go to the summary section, and where you can put your test data here. Okay. So in the summary and the description section, you can just leave the test data here. And you can make it bold, underline, whatever you need, and so forth. So it highlights that way. Okay. So let's come back here. We'll see what else we have. So we have the precondition, right? And post condition. Now again in the tool, we don't have any place to put the precondition and post condition. So in the here, I don't have any way to put the precondition, post condition anywhere. So what I typically do is, you can insert the precondition right before the first step. I can just put a precondition right here as a first step. And the last step, I can put post condition here. Okay. So what I can do is, let me copy precondition. And I'll go to the first step and I will say precondition and I'll paste it right there. So this is my precondition. Super user account exists in the system. So when somebody is executing my test case, they will also see, hey, this is the precondition. And this account needs to be exist in the system, something like that. So they will check it is there. If not, if it's not there, then they will go and create it. Okay. And same thing with the post condition. I'm copying it and I'll say post condition and I'll paste it right there. Now precondition and post condition do not have expected result, which is okay. Because you shouldn't have the expected result for them. Only the steps that you are performing. Okay. So at this point, now one last thing, let's see what else is missing. So summary part, right? Where do you put the summary? Again, this is a title, right? It's not a summary. You can put it in the summary section and just put the more description here, just about test data. This test validates whatever. So if somebody is looking at it, they know what the information is. And at this point, I'm ready to save it. Okay. Let me modify something here. So this arrows, right? So it has a save and close. So if I save it, it will only save it. It will not close the window. But if I do save and close, it will save and close and take me back here. Okay. So now this story we are working with, right? This particular one. See, it shows a 3 here. Right? These are test cases, number of test cases associated with the story. And the story is automatically linked with the test cases here. Okay. So if I open the story, and hopefully I can see those test cases here. Where do you go? Let's see. Oh, there you go. Oops. Give me a second. Let me. Yep, all these 3 test cases will show up as a related item. Okay, as part of the user story. So this is a user story. These are the 3 test cases we have. Okay. And you can click on this 3 icon, it will expand, right? And you can see your test cases here. So I already did the first one. I think I did only the first one. But I need to do the same thing with second one and third one. Okay, to supplying the alpha user information, repeat the steps here and follow the same process. Dealer one, I need to say dealer information, log in and do that. Is everybody clear on this one? So you create the story, then you will create the test case or add test. And how do you add test? From here, 3 dots. Click on add test. And here you will add the title, which is nothing but the live of the scenario, right? And then once you add that, you can go to the detail to add more details here after opening it up and save it. Any question? I don't know, I went a little bit fast, but hopefully this is the process. Once you do like 1 or 2, I think you will understand what it is and how to add those. So what I want you guys to do is, let's go and add one test case. So add one requirement, pick the requirement that you have test case for. So you guys have you guys know the Airflow requirement that you created one test case, right? Pick one, create the requirement or story first, and then add the test as part of the story. See if you are able to do it. Okay, and let's get to work. Now, you probably want to try it on your computer now. See if you can get it.
Harsh, can you repeat, because I lost your connection? I don't know what to do. What's the task now?
So you need to add a story, right? You are on the board. So figure out the navigation, right?
Mhm.
So where you guys are, let me just go here. So I'm assuming you have the second project created.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Right, the Scrum project. So you need to click on it. And this is where you will end up. The board is the one, that's where we will work with it for our stories. So you hover over the board, then go to the boards here as it pops up, and you will be on the storyboard. And that's where you need to create a new story because you don't have requirement, right? It's an empty tool right now. So you create a product backlog item, plus sign, and create the whatever requirements you have at least one test case created for. So I think most of you have, let's see what test cases you guys have. Because everybody created differently, right? Some of the test cases. Let me go to my email here. So we gave you for the homework, right? Certain requirements. So create the requirement first and then create the test case as part of it. So here, the requirement is lender can access only one credit application assigned to them or whatever the requirement that goes along with that. But that's Leela's. Let's see. So Dimple, is it Dimple or
Yes.
Dimple? Which requirements you created test case for?
I did it for site admin can view all applications submitted by any dealer.
Okay, so you create a new product backlog item or story. Site admin can view credited credit application submitted by
Any dealer.
any dealer, right? So this is your story. And as part, you need to create a test case that goes along with the story. So here you can simply add a test and whatever the test case is that you have. You might have more than one test case, right?
Yeah.
Whichever one you created, put the title from the document. So this one could be your title, something like that. That goes here. And once you do that, then you have to open the test case and put more details. So all the steps will go in here. Step 1, step 2, step 3. From there, all the steps that you have will go in the tool here. and the expected result that goes along with
No,
that.
I already saw all of these stuff. I know. I just lost the last one. Like maybe you gave some assignment to do now. I don't know what you.
Yeah. So assignment is to convert your paper test case to the tool.
Okay. Okay.
That's all it is. Assignment is that simple.
Okay. Anyone we can pick, or there is any specific one?
No, just pick the one that is most complete to you. I mean,
Okay.
for in the classroom. Then I'll show you how to execute it later on. So I just want you guys to have at least one in there.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'll get you maybe 15-20 minutes to work through that. And then we'll come back and see how we can execute, work through the defect management and other things.
Okay. Thank you.
And I'll let you guys work through other items. Okay. So hopefully you guys now understand the flow here from the board to how to create a story and how to add a test for yourself for the story. And now the important part is when it comes to the execution, right? Testing, actual test phase. So you guys are doing all this activity in parallel. When the developers are coding it, you guys are adding your test cases and so forth. But once you have a software, you need to actually execute all the test cases that you created one by one and see if the software meets requirements of the whatever is laid out in the requirement. So execution part is not that complex here. It's very straightforward in the tool. The way you can execute is you pick the basically particular requirement, right? And then there are a bunch of test cases. So you have to execute one by one all the test cases. Again, this is all manual testing. Okay, there is no automation here. Tool is allowing you to enter all the test cases, but you are executing everything manually. Okay, there is no automation. So how do you execute? As I said, it's very simple. So you pick the test, just 3 dots, and then you can say run test. Okay, when you say run test, again, it's a manual testing. It's not running anything for you. Let me show you what happens. So first thing it will do is it will, depending on the software, I get the pop-up notification blocked in my browser. Okay, so you need to allow, click on the pop-up notification. It's supposed to pop up a test execution window. Okay, it didn't do that for me. Let me show you here again. Let's say I want to run this test, 3 dots, and I'll say run test. Now it showed some pop-up window here. Okay, so it popped up. First time it did not. And if it doesn't, then what you can do is click on this icon here in the browser window. You will see that here. And check always allow pop-ups and redirect from the dev.azure.com. That's it. That's all you need to do. Okay. So let me go back, run test. Okay. So it pops up another window kind of like this. This is your execution window. Okay, and you have to follow your own steps, whatever it is here. Now, if somebody is executing from India, once you create it in the US, all this tests, somebody will be executing and following that from India, assume that. So they have to follow what you wrote here, everything. So precondition, super user account exists in the system. So that's a precondition. So you don't have to take any action, but you can simply pass the step at that point. You can say, yep, I see the account exists, so it's all good. So I'm going to pass or fail. That's it. So there, for failing, there is a red button here, right? This X is for failing the step. Green is for, or check mark is for passing the step. Then I have first one is passed. Okay, I go to the second step. Go to application URL by entering the whatever test data you specify. Now, how do you do that? So you copy and paste. So you do Control-C, open another window, paste the URL, and see if you are able to go to the home page for the Rflow. So Rflow homepage came up. It's all good. So what I'll do is I'll pass the step because I can see expected result. Rflow homepage is displayed. Yep, it's displayed. I'm going to pass the step. Then I'll move to the third step. Enter username, password for S training, super user, and click login. Okay, so I'll enter S training, login. And once it comes up, hopefully I am on the super user admin homepage. So let's see what it does. Now I'm on the home page, but how do I know it's a super user admin homepage? Right. So every user has their own thing, navigation, right? It's here, it says admin homepage. That's the way you can verify it. If I'm logging as a lender, I might see lender homepage, something like that. Okay. So that's one way of verification as well. Okay, so but for us, this step is passed. So I'm going to click on pass. And the last thing, user is successfully logged in, Rflow system. That's a post condition, so it is good. So I'm going to pass. And so at this point, I don't have any failures. So I'm going to save and close, and that's it. Then my test case execution is done at this point. Everything is good. It's a happy path, right? Again, there is no automation here. It's all manual work. You are following your own instruction. Now you understand the importance of instruction, right? If your instructions are not clear, I don't know what they're gonna do for testing. They might, whatever they think, they will do, I guess, at that point. Tools are tools. It doesn't have much brain. Okay, all your hard work is writing the test case, coming up with that, dissecting the requirement, and so forth. Okay, let's come back here one more time. Now, if I go, I'm going to refresh this page. Okay, let's see what happens in the tool since we passed one test case. Oops, not here. This guy. So now here it shows green because it's passed. Okay. And same thing, these are other ones are not executed, so it has no pass or fail over there. But let's say I'm executing this guy again. Something happened and I need to rerun the same test case. Okay. Since I don't have many test cases here, I'm going to run the same one. So my first step passed, second test passed, and here I'm going to fail this one. Okay, it will pop up this window here where you can capture the comment. What is wrong with the page? So let's say I put a comment here which says instead of admin homepage, I am on lender homepage. Okay, they made a coding mistake. Instead of a lender admin homepage, I can see admin lender homepage. So I've already failed the step here. Now, what is the next logical step for me as a QA? What is the step for me? What is the next thing that I need to do in the process? If I fail the test case, what should I do? How do you let the developer know? Right, so you need to have a defect created at this point. The good thing about the tool, everything is integrated. So you can create a defect right from the test case. So I can click on this create bug here. Okay, create bug window. Okay, or add to existing bug. But I'm here, brand new bug. So I will click on create bug. And it will pull all the steps that I have, and it shows which step is failed, and it will show my comment as well here. Instead of admin homepage, I am on lender homepage. So the developer, whoever is looking at it, they will know what exactly is wrong, what step failed, and so that they can start working on it. And you have to enter a title for every bug. Incorrect homepage is displayed for admin user. Some description, what is wrong with why you are creating bug, or what is wrong with what's the issue. And at this point, you will click on close, and you are done. And you will basically save and close. Now it shows right here, it failed. So unless, so if I refresh it, let me refresh it. If I see it, it shows a failure here. Okay, so it's a nice way of updating the status on the dashboard as well. Everybody takes a look at it, and they can see what is wrong or how far we are in the process. Any questions so far? Okay, so this is a very simple process for capturing, executing it, and creating the defect or bug, and communicating to the whoever needs it. Now you don't see the bugs here. You're not going to see the bugs. So where do I find it? The bug that I just created, right? It's not going to show up on the dashboard. So what you can do is you can go to the backlogs, and it will show up here in the backlog. The bugs, so all my stories and the bug will also show up there. So if I need to change anything, I can go and update here in the backlog. Okay. But when the developer is ready to work on it, they will say, okay, unassigned, it will assign to Jerry Jones, and they will start working on it. This is where you can do assignment, or developer will assign to it themselves and work through the process. Okay. And let's see if I put it on the sprint one. Again, this is a board view, right? This is a board view for all the stories. But if I am working on a specific sprint, I can pull all the stories as well in the sprint view as well. So this is a sprint backlog. This is kind of like all the stories in the system. Okay, here. So that's how it shows different views. So play around, look at this. What is a sprint backlog versus the general backlog, which is nothing but all the stories in a different view structure. That's all. Okay. But most likely you will be working with the sprints view. Okay, because you are working on 2 weeks or 3 week sprint. All the stories that you have, they will be here. And then you will be putting in progress and then done type of thing. Okay, that's the status type of thing. Any question on the boards or anything? I think you guys will, once you do it, then you guys will know how to, where things are and so forth for the bugs and so forth. So play around with that. There is one more item, the repos, right? There are other features here. Now, generally, if it's a bigger project, then you will create the test cases in the test plan type of scenario. Okay. So here, unfortunately, I don't think we have license. You guys will not get a free license, but maybe you might have a 30-day license or something. Try to see if you can play around, but I don't think we have ability to create anything here. But you generally work with the test plan. So you create all your test cases, pull the requirements in there and create all the test cases in the test plan. But it's no different than how you are doing it as well. It's just a different view. Think it up as a different view. Same thing, you can see the runs, how many test cases you ran and everything in the runs folder and so forth. And I'll send you a video if you want to see it, what the test plan looks like. Okay. But other than that, nothing much. Okay, so let's come back to the board. Let's go to the boards. And running it and so forth. Any question on this functionality, execution, anything that we did so far?
Harshal, so all the work done by all our folks is it all getting onto the screen like that you're showing, or everyone is doing separately?
No, everybody is doing separately because everybody has their own account here.
Okay.
But in the real life, you will be working on the same project. Unfortunately, the free version does not support more than 5 users. Okay. So whatever account you created in the Azure Devops, you can add 4 more users along with you and give them access to your project. But in the real life, you can add as many number of users as you want because you are paying the money to Microsoft. Okay. But here you cannot see the artifacts who else is creating. Now, one way what you can do is, since all our projects are public projects, so you can copy this URL and send it to whoever needs it in the classroom. And they can click on the link and they can see what artifacts you are producing. So if you want to see what Shruti is producing, Leela or anybody else, they can share the URL and you can see what test cases are there and how detailed they are and all those things. That might help you guys, okay? Because if you review somebody else's work, it will help you to correct yours.
I think in real life scenarios, it will be private, right?
Yeah, it's a private project. They will make it public. First of all, plus you can add as many users and grant you access on specific projects.
So it will be a team environment.
Team environment. Yeah. So that you have access to stories and you can only create the test cases and so forth.
So the person who is working on those cases will have the authorization to put that into the different mode status, or anyone can do it in the whole. Like in the sprint view.
Yeah.
It is like drag and drop, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Anybody, if you are part of the project, you should be able to move it one thing to another. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think we restrict the level. All the team members, remember, it's all a team member, right? In the Agile world, everybody is a member of the team. They should have similar access. Now there are administrator and some people have higher level of access. But as far as if you are part of the project, you should be able to do whatever. So there is a contributor role, there is other kinds of role within the tools. See if I can go here, project settings. So you can see it in the project setting. So what permissions, depending on what role you are. So generally everybody is a contributor. Okay. So that means you cannot create a project, Rflow project and so forth. But you can add, modify, delete within the team and so forth. But there are other kind of users, right? Some are readers.
yeah.
So they cannot do anything other than just read the information and so forth. So yeah, these are some built-in, plus you can customize. But as I said, I mean, you will not be doing all this work. It's for somebody, administrator who will do that for you and grant you access.
Harshit, can you show me your sprint screen again?
Okay.
The sprint one, sprint.
Yeah.
Yes. So here, like most of the stories are on first column, and 2 of them they are on second. Like how did they go to the second column to-do list?
Oh, you just drag and drop.
Okay.
Working on the best case and start executing it out, you moves it.
Sorry, yeah, this one is a sprint view, right? So
Yes.
here, task you can move it because there are tasks and those things. Stories, let me see if you, I don't think you can move the stories here. To do and in progress, because these are in progress stories because you pulled in within the sprint. So they are kind of like technically you are working through within the sprint. But the task is the one that you can say, yep, but this task is complete. So I can move it to the done column. Same thing, other tasks and so forth, not the stories. Stories, you can do it in the board, in the main backlog mode. Here I can say approved, committed, and done here.
So under a story, we have task and a test. Yes.
Yeah, so see under story, right? You wouldn't be able to see it here, what you have. So let me go to the board here. You have task and test.
Yes.
First
So
one.
So in the sprint mode, we can like drag and drop.
Stories, the task you can do that.
Okay, task and test both.
Not the test, just a task.
Okay.
Because test does not follow the process, right? Test is just a test. You execute it and if it pass or fail. Task is the one that says it's in progress because it could take 2 days to implement the code changes and so forth.
So do we have to create the task?
No, you will not never create the task. QAs don't create the task, developers.
Okay.
Like a database tag, what needs to be implemented in database, what needs to be implemented in the code and so forth. So tasks are for them, not the QAs. Okay. All right.
So
There's a-
what's the meaning for committed? What does that mean? Committed section.
Committed section. Oh,
The
here?
column. Yeah, what we do there? What is that?
I mean, this flow, you can customize it. I have not seen the committed. I mean, in the real life, you have the stories either approved or done generally.
Oh, okay.
Because you approve the story, get a sign off from the business. Yep, everything is good. Or then put it in a done. So Tim will say, yep, these stories are done so that we can start pulling them in the next sprint, or they are ready basically to work on. That's what it is. Because
Okay.
business analysts, right? They might have to go back and forth and get more information from the business on what this thing's supposed to do. So they will keep on adding description here or adding more supporting documentation and so forth. So they will make it in progress. And once they are done, they will say it's done or basically, and so that developer can start working on it. Kind of like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, every company has their own flow. So, generally this flow is never used, approved, committed and done. Every company has their own flow. They customize their own for their own need. Yeah, this tool is highly customizable. I mean, sometimes you might just have the stories new, that's it, nothing else. Then the developers will just start pulling in the sprint, those stories and start working through it. Start creating the task and test cases and so forth. Okay.
Actually, the website, like Arfron website that you entered.
Yeah, I sent you guys a URL.
Okay.
So the URL in the book or the material is old. So we have a new URL for the site, which I already sent you.
So like, can we do all the stuff for here? Like, can we create an application and all this kind of stuff while performing these?
Yeah, certainly play around with the site. I think that's the goal as well. Get familiar with the site. You might have to revise your step accordingly. Or see when you are doing the actual execution, right? See how many test cases you wrote passes or fails as well by going to the actual site. Because I gave you the working software now. Now you can see how many test cases passes versus fails and so forth.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Any question? Any other question? I guess.
So did you give this link by email?
Yes, I sent you guys in the email just 30 minutes ago. Yep.
Okay, thanks.
All right, so let's do one thing. I'd like you guys to basically continue entering that here. Test cases. Now, what's the plan is we like to review what you have produced. So send me the link, since you all have public project. Send me and the links to your projects, so that we can see what is that, and we can review certain more things on Thursday as well. We can provide you feedback. Because again, test cases are test cases, but main work is what is that you are doing, how you are coming up with that. Okay, so definitely send me email sometime today so that we can see your work. We are your best buddies, right? So that's how it's gonna be. So we'll look at over your work and see what you are doing from the standpoint and provide you feedback.
Today, today we have entered one requirement, one leave on the
Okay.
Azure. So are we supposed to send you that one leave?
No. Send me your project link. So what I mean by that is, let me show you what you need to send me. Okay. So you are on the board, right? Here, just copy this link from the top, whatever you have, and just email me.
Okay.
You and me and Dilip.
Okay.
We should be able to see, access your project and see what stories and what test cases, and see if there are missing or not. We'll let you know.
Okay.
But let's enter a couple of more today. Okay. I'm hoping you guys have at least 5 or 7 we talked about, right? Let's enter all of them. There is no stopping point. So let's work through that here.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I was a little bit behind it from the
What is it?
summary. So if you have a laptop tested there,
Can you repeat that?
like if you have to test the data,
Okay.
so where you gonna put it?
So test data, yes, that's a good question, right? I think I already showed you once here. So let me go back here. So there are a few ways for the test data. First way is you can just, if it's small enough, you can just put it in right here, copy paste test data, right? Like password, user ID password. Let's say you are working with a credit application and it has a lot of elements that you have. What you can do is here in this particular step, you can do attachment. Okay, so you right click on it and say add attachment, and you can pick a Excel file and upload it right there with the step. Okay, so that whoever is executing it, they can open the Excel file when they execute and they start typing in all the details that you provide. Or you can put it in the attachments itself with the test case. So there is an attachment here. Click on add attachment and you can pick any file you want and put that in. Let me see if I can put anything. So I can put TFT topic, whatever file that I have, and attach it with that. Kind of like that. So now it becomes a part of my test case here. Okay. So there are multiple ways, I mean, you can do that. Okay. So if I go back to steps, if I want to attach to this step, you can do it again, same file. Attach it and then save. And I can see it here, right on the step. And then I can open it right from here. Or when I'm running it. So if I do run test, I should be able to see that file. Yep, QA activities. It will show. Okay. Yeah, there are multiple ways you can handle it. Okay. All right, so let's enter maybe 1 or 2 more here. Okay. And then I'm gonna send you guys email on your homework. So there are additional 2 requirements you guys need to work through, and test scenario and test case for that, at least 1. So 2 more test cases and 2 scenarios breakdown. So, but let's work through here and I'll send you guys in the email what you need to do for the homework.